guys, my name is Rage and we are back today with another Dark Dimension 5 overview and playthrough video for you all. In today's video, we're going to be walking through the next stage here of being the legendary nodes, being that last section of Dark Dimension 5. So I'll show you guys high level my 5 characters as well as dive into the gameplay. Starting things off, easily hands down the best legendary in the game right now, Morgan Le Fay. You guys have a chance to bring her in. The fact that she has so much capabilities, her time warp is so powerful, and all of her attacks scaling with the health percentage. This is extremely powerful in Dark Dimension, especially with these enemies that we are up against, having the higher health pools. Omega Red, very similar to Morgan Le Fay in the sense that, you know, his attacks do scale with HP, but the fact that he has 2 ability blocks and trauma makes him a very powerful character to add that crowd controlling aspect, and as well as him being a very powerful and tanky character overall. We also have Shuri here, being part of that key sustain, right? Her special is nothing to joke over, applying defense up, granting energy for our fellow allies, and especially the rework to Wakandans. There's definitely been a lot more love with Shuri being that legendary healer. As you can see, you know, I personally recommend the skirmisher that we can add vulnerability as well. It's going to add that aspect of being able to, you know, leverage the strikers that we have on our team. We have Rogue here, being the newest legendary in the game, and she's been amazing to try this out, because I was actually waiting on bringing up Phoenix to Gear 16, but with the Rogue release in the Famine Scourge event, just having her has been so nice because of her crowd controlling, her gloves off special that can start things off, and all these negative conditions that will just stick, and as well as her having a handy stun is just that extra aspect of crowd controlling combined with Omega Red, making short work of these nodes. Last but not least, guys, highly recommend Jubilee. I know she's kind of fallen out of place given her team and the raids meta, but, you know, still remains the mutant teams is the only viable raid team right now that we know of in combination with the other powerful mutants in the game. But she has a blind, she's got a stun, and the fact that naturally she can have assisted attacks and so forth, and as well when enemies go down with the turn meter, she's going to get that back as an increase to her speed. So there you guys have it. Those are the 5. Now let's dive right into the gameplay. This will also be the first time that we actually see the synergies of 2 legendary horsemen working together, first time in a Dark Dimension stage. So it's really cool, guys. So starting things off, I would actually recommend ability blocking using Morgan Le Fay at the beginning with her ultimate, and it's going to put the ability blocks on both the dominoes. You're going to see that they can become, you know, quite difficult to deal with, especially with the couple of Deadpools there, right? So first thing, X23 is who we want to control at the beginning, as well as ability blocking Scientist Supreme, just because she's got the cleanse that can flip the negatives, and X23 can really get going if we're not careful. So that's why we want to be mindful of that. And if you're able to have a stun handy on your team as well, I recommend stunning the Deadpools, just because they can do a lot of damage. And keep in mind, Deadpool has a natural cleanse as well. Now at this point, we should be in a pretty good spot here to aim for Morgan Le Fay's special, taking back the turn meter, but again, resuming damage, because we are going to be taking down X23 first. There we go, with her going down. And then as well as Scientist Supreme is another big one, but if you guys are able to take down the Dominoes next, that's going to be the key. There's almost no point in taking down Deadpool because of the fact that they're going to get revived. So slowing them down is honestly the best bet that we have, either blinding with Jubilee or as well as just ability controlling them, right? But you can see here, just given where we are, especially with Shuri's energy, you'll likely get another ultimate available with Morgan Le Fay, and then we just go on and continue doing work here on these guys. They're all pretty weak, but this initial wave shouldn't be an issue. You may or may not need to reset depending on if these guys get going, especially those Deadpools, and the fact that they actually still hit pretty hard. That's why it's good if you have a stun handy. Take care of the Dominoes first, as I'm doing right now, and that way it's going to clean things up so that when we do take down Deadpool, he's going to be a cakewalk. And just fast forwarding here to save you a bit of time, at this point, you should have Cable, one of the Deadpools, and Scientist Supreme as the last 3. This is a good spot to be, just because you can work your way up and build up energy in preparation for the next wave. Here we go, and then the next wave does spawn right away. Again, you should have some pretty good amount of energy built up from the previous wave. Once again, utilizing the ultimate to start things off, Morgan Le Fay. Just the fact that she applies so many ability blocks across the board with those traded enemies, and that's what we really want to take advantage. Every time you get Shuri's special, make sure you utilize it. The defense up is huge for these nodes, and as well as Jubilee stun just allows the turn meter to get inflicted on the enemy, but as well as having that timely stun for us to assess the situation in terms of how we want to crowd control this. So I start things off by actually using Rogue's special on Deadpool, just because, you know, he can self-cleanse, but if you actually apply a trauma on him, ability block the Yondu so that way he can't summon healers, we're in a pretty good spot at this point. And keep in mind too, you know, we're gonna see that we're able to actually ability control, crowd control most of these guys. Everyone's either ability blocked or stunned, and I think that's one of the very beautiful synergies of this team, because you can really just you know, lock them all into place and take your time with everything. If you have a chance to utilize Jubilee special to finish off someone, that negative is also just gonna spread to everyone too, so keep that in mind, guys. There we go. We proceed with finishing off Yondu there. And again, I recommend taking down Yondu as one of the big ones, because he's got that piercing damage, but as well, you just don't want him going by being able to summon the enemies that can actually heal up their team, right? Another good one to aim for as well is Ghost, but Ghost does have a lot of dodges, and if you recall, she has that really powerful ultimate that also scales with HP, so something to be mindful of if you guys want to take her out. But fortunately, we have Morgan Le Fay constantly applying ability blocks, so should be able to keep all of them at bay. And this wave shouldn't be an issue if you guys have some crowd controlling. It could be if you don't. So that's why I do highly recommend, guys, if you're able to bring on the legendary horseman, especially Rogue, combined with Omega Red, it's gonna make this a really straightforward wave. And the three I got left with here was another Yondu, and then Quake and Cable. Just being statistically weaker characters. Yes, they're damage dealers and support, but they're just, you know, not going to be pain points for us that we can leave kind of on the board here in preparation again now for another wave. So as you guys can see, very straightforward. So as long as you know, have really excellent crowd controlling. So funny enough though, this next wave that does come up pretty similar to the last two waves we did see. Only thing that we do need to be aware of is that Silver Surfer in the back right there, just because he has some really potent damage, and if we let him do his thing, it can be pretty bad news bears for us. So as you can see, really high resistance. I used already a couple abilities to try and get a hold of him, and they both missed. But fortunately, Morgan Le Fay is finally able to actually flip away and actually apply defense down on him. So we're now giving another chance to crowd control. And if you're able to land Rogue special on him, a great way to control him. But as you can see, everyone on the board almost having a ability block. The one thing about this wave too is the yo-yo that applies offense down, so something to be mindful of. But again, the key priority target is going to be Silver Surfer, and then ability blocking or controlling everyone else, leaving this wave in good control for our hands to manage these enemies. We go ahead and finish off Silver Surfer here, and honestly at this point I would just try to pick off whoever's weak, right? Because we have some really strong attacks, so definitely take advantage of any vulnerabilities, so that way Morgan Le Fay or Omega Red can take advantage of their striker. You can see that I just used Jubilee special to finish them off, so that way the blind would actually spread. But overall, take your time, guys, see who's weak and just clean up the board here, because it shouldn't be an issue overall, just because they're all relatively squishy. And don't be afraid to keep constantly using Morgan Le Fay's ultimate, as you see there. Just having them ability blocked is just night and day for us to control these waves. Super straightforward. So once again, just finishing off there, and then this is the last three that I have. Ghost is one that's likely going to survive, just because she has so much natural dodges that's just not factored in. So if you want to leave her for the very end, you can definitely, just because she is a little she has a lot of dodges, and it's just going to be timely. If you want to aim for her first, it's just going to be difficult because she has that natural protection. But we go ahead and we finish off these two, and it is going to give us the last wave here in terms of what to expect. And again, if you guys have really strong crowd controlling, the synergies of this legendary team just has so much value in the end game too, just because each one of these characters are part of a meta team that's utilized in a main game mode. And that's really what I'm a big fan about right now, just taking advantage of the value in these teams. So even at this point here, don't hesitate to use the special, because again, anytime we get ability energy for our abilities, it's just going to help us in preparation, even if the defense up is not fully getting maximized here. And you can just see a great example here of how powerful Ghost is. My apologies, guys, I thought it was the last wave. So there's one more after, that's 5 characters, but we go ahead, similar to wave 1, we go ahead and stun Scientist Supreme, crowd controlling. And as well, we're just going to go ahead and just focus on Yondu as well, just making sure that, you know, he's not able to actually summon enemies. But everybody else here, ability block, which is really good for us. Yeah, you can get that blind on there, perfect. And now, same thing as before, right? Everybody is controlled now officially, and then at this point, yeah, just go ahead and resume damage, control them. When they're all either stunned, blinded, or ability block, it becomes really quite short work. Now, the one thing to be mindful of this wave is the fact that at 7 out of 31 enemies left, the last couple of guys do actually get spawned here. So you can see they get added up in here, and at this point, yeah, just try to take care of business, right? That's why you do want to take down Domino in that initial wave, because for sure, if she's combined with Deadpool, it could be dangerous in this last wave. But fortunately, we did clean that up, as well as Yondu having the supportive capabilities. So just something to be mindful of, guys. But you can see we're starting once again our rotation of ability blocking everyone, and after doing that, we're going to be in a really good place, especially since in the next two nodes here, very similar story. Once you have good control, these enemies, they're not going to be able to do much against us. And last three for me, and there we go, finishing up Yo-Yo. And at this point, guys, yeah, very straightforward. 2 enemies remaining here. I would actually just not use any abilities, because you do definitely want to save your attacks. But you can see at the top left, guys, Jubilee unfortunately did go down at some point during the battle, so it is unfortunate. You're gonna find that issue. She's just squishier, so it just makes it more difficult, but it doesn't take away from the value she brings you guys. Still a very, very powerful character. And then lastly, once we clean this up, there is gonna be 3 more enemies remaining, which is really weird placement, because I thought the rest of them would spawn. But it's interesting how this legendary node at least kind of groups it up differently. The last 3 here being X-23, Quake, and Black Widow. Again, similar to Wave 1, controlling X-23 is going to be really good. And as well, if you want to, start applying a stun on these guys, just slow them down. But at this point, I wouldn't utilize too many abilities, just because we're going to be needing them as well for the next wave. Excuse me, the next node. And there you guys have it. Finishing everybody, leaving Black Widow, I highly recommend, just because she's squishier and doesn't really do a lot of damage, so we're okay with just leaving her on the board. And there you guys have it. This is a one-shot attempt of node 13 here. First time using the legendary nodes here. Very, very straightforward, guys. Especially have the synergies of what I'm showing you. Omega Red, Morgan Le Fay, and Rogue combined. Those 3 really do make up a really core, powerful combination here. So as you guys can see, 44.52 million. I hope this video was able to help you guys progress further. Thank you as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.